Hey everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, learningtomix.com, and here on my YouTube channel, and welcome to another episode of Questions and Coffee with David. This is where I get up bright and early in the morning, get down in the studio, and before I start my day, I'm answering all the questions that come in through YouTube, Facebook, and through email to try to help get you going in the right direction to help you make better music in your home studio. So before we get to this week's 3 questions, if you like what you see in that video, please hit that subscribe button. Also go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com for all your training needs around recording, mixing, and mastering. And if you want more in-depth training for mixing specifically, head on over to learningtomix.com and check out what I got going on over there with Pete Woj from Mix Better Now. We created a new mixing website, learningtomix.com. I think you guys are really going to dig it. It'll get you real down and deep and dirty in-depth training around mixing to make better mixes in your home studio. So now let's head on over to question number 1. Okay, question number 1 comes from Songwriter Blue on YouTube, and Songwriter Blue writes in, I made a song about a coffee and recorded at my friend's studio. You can only hear the bass if you have headphones or plug in through a speaker. If you play from a cell phone, you can only hear the vocals and the guitar. Why is that? Here's the link so you can see what I mean. So I took a listen to this to the song that you sent me the link of. Thanks for writing in your question. I think what's going on here is something really simple. Is that you're not hearing the bass through a small little speaker on your cell phone, because the speaker is just a tiny little speaker the size of a quarter or a dime. It's not made or intended to be able to hear low frequency instruments. So that's probably why you only hear the vocals and the acoustic guitar, especially if you you play it back through your studio monitors or through headphones, you can hear the bass. So that's what sounds like it's going on. You're just trying to play it in a system on a small little speaker that is not designed or intended to reproduce those low frequencies. So I think that's your trouble. And that's, pretty common. I get that question quite a bit. So I hope that answers your question. If you need any more help, write back in and I will sure to get back to you and try to help you out even further. So thanks for the question. And now let's head on to question number 2. Okay, question number 2 comes in from Mike, and Mike writes in, Hey David, hope all is well. I know you're busy, not sure if you're still doing questions and coffee still, but what are your thoughts around making EQ decisions in mono? Some people do it, some don't. Would love to know what you think. Thanks again for all the great content, Mike. Well, Mike, thanks for writing in. And yes, it's been a little while since I've done a questions and coffee video. I've been really busy and backed up with other projects, but now we're back in the saddle and we're answering questions. So anyway, the answer to your question is, I believe it's a good idea to check your mixes in mono. There's kind of 2 schools of thought. Some guys will completely mix in mono, and some guys will completely mix in stereo. And I used to do, and kind of continue to still do, kind of a hybrid where maybe I would say 60% of my mix, 70% of my mix is now done in stereo, and I'm checking it in mono throughout the mix to see how it would play back on a mono source. So making sole EQ decisions just in mono is not something I do, but you can try it. When you work in mono, it's a little more difficult for you to hear those kinds of things, and it forces you to have a better sense of critical listening and making better EQ decisions. So it's always good to kind of check it and go back and forth, but ultimately where most music is played today is in stereo, so that's kind of how I kind of think about it. But yes, checking it in mono is certainly something you ought to do, and making EQ decisions in mono is not a bad thing if you flip back and forth and just kind of reference between stereo and mono, and I think you should be fine. So it's not a bad practice at all. It'll help develop your ear a little bit more, so I recommend that you try it if you've never done it before and see what you think. Again, there's 2 schools of thought. Some guys will mix mostly in mono, and I used to be one of those guys too, and I've tried it and that works for me, but these days I'm mixing more in stereo than in mono and just using mono to reference and to check my mix. So I hope, Mike, that answers your question. Thank you once again for writing in. Now let's head on to the next question, and the last question for this segment, question number 3. Okay, last question. Question number 3 comes from someone on YouTube. They failed to leave their name, but this is a good question, so hopefully the person will watch this and will see it. Anyway, they ask, David, love all the things you do. I have a few of your series, namely the PreSonus Studio One, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Mixing Made Easy, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great stuff. The days are too short. I'm retired now, so I have all the time in the world, but it's still not enough. How in the hell do you have, how in the hell do you do all the things you do? How do you have so much energy? That's a long story, believe me. Yes, I work a lot. I have a question for you. Here, let's get down to the question. Do you think it's advisable to have, say, 3 or 4 different DAWs on one drive? I presently have a 500 gigabyte SATA drive split in two with Sonar, Platinum, Bitwig 1.3, Bitwig 2.1, and one side I have PreSonus Studio One 3, and along with the two Bitwigs. So it looks like he has 4 DAWs. It should be noted that for the future, I plan on running all PreSonus software and hardware, as they really do make solid stuff, and I owe all of that to you for turning me on to it. Well, thanks so much. I wish I knew your name. I apologize for not knowing your name. I didn't see it in the comment. So that's great. So you have a 500 gig hard drive, and it looks like right now you have 3 to 4 DAWs on that hard drive, the programs themselves. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Where you really want to have caution is when you run the session files for the application, that you do that on a secondary drive, because those sessions can get quite large. But having the applications themselves on your drive shouldn't be a big deal. Those are usually not very big in size, the file sizes. Again, the sessions are going to be a lot larger as you record audio, and any kind of loop libraries or VST libraries and sound sets and libraries, those will take up a lot of space too. So take caution to that. So when you're downloading your content from these different DAW manufacturers' websites, pay attention to the file sizes, and anything that's quite large, run it off a secondary drive to kind of reserve your space on your internal 500 gig hard drive. But if you're going to be moving in the future to all PreSonus stuff, then there's really no problem at all. So yes, I guess the answer to your question is having 3 or 4 different DAWs on a drive is not a problem. Just, again, use the secondary drive for the sessions themselves, any loops or sound sets or anything that's going to take up a massive amount of space, so you don't max out your current hard drive and slow down your performance. So thanks for writing in. I appreciate you purchasing all the training products. I'm glad they're helping you, and I'm really glad I turned you on the Studio One, and you're going to be using all their software, Studio One and PreSonus hardware. They're fantastic. If you have any other questions regarding any of that stuff, please write in, and I'd be glad to help you. So thanks again for writing in and answering, and I'm glad to answer your question. So that's it for this episode of Questions and Coffee with David. If you want one of your questions answered in an upcoming episode, please send me an email to info@homerecordingmadeeasy.com. That's info@homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I'll be sure to feature your question in one of my upcoming Questions and Coffee videos. And once again, head on out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com for all your training needs around recording, mixing, and mastering. And if you want some more in-depth, customized one-on-one training, check out learningtomix.com. It's a brand new website I'm involved in with my new partner Pete Woj at mixbetternow.com. Really great membership mixing website. I think you guys are really going to dig it. You should check it out. And until the next video, this has been Dave with Home Recording Made Easy and learningtomix.com, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.